Fauchagu ye Olde Scots the Celtic podcast. Kimraha Huladunya, how is everyone? On today's show in Feuchamaich, Beagan, Gaidhlig, let's try Little Gaidhlig. Lesson 11, Colors. In Celtic history, medicine in the 18th century. In everyday Celtic ways. The fairy folk of the Cairn gorms. We're going to hear music from Anna Martin, Monran, and the Merry Plowboys. Enjoy. Learn the history of Gaelic songs as you learn to sing them. Gaelic and English lyrics are provided to give you a deeper understanding of the song, to guide you when you're learning, or just sit back and enjoy these beautiful songs. Welcome to Learn a Gaelic Song. Today's song is Shovlina Gach Mi Dulak. This song is very direct with its lyrics. It's by Anne Martin. And while some songs require you to interpret what the writer's intentions were, this song is very clear. She's lost her brother and her sister, and a young man with golden hair who she loves very much. And while she loves her siblings, she only laments for the loss of her love for this young man. The song is filled with nonsense words to make the song work and sound good. There's no real meaning to them other than that. Just wanted to let you know, make note of that so you can keep an eye out for them. All right. Remember, Gaelic's at the top, English at the bottom. Get ready.
Shovlian gach mi tuach, Yrevi, Horjo. Heil mi mavra her små fjord, I horo hi farallelo. Heil mi mavra her små fjord, Yrevi, Horjo. Hanye shine hamikua, I horo hi farallelo. Hanye shine hamikua, Yrevi, Horjo. Ach oi kerok naruch fuya, I horo hi farallelo. Ach oi kerok naruch fuya, Yrevi, Horjo. Vin kistje chilri teve falla, I horo hi farallelo. Vin kistje chilri teve falla, Yrevi, Horjo. Circa dunig soort kaparig, I horo hi farallelo. Shovlian gach mi tuach, Yrevi, Horjo. Heil mi mavra her små fjord, I horo hi farallelo.
Celtic history brings you the tales of the land, castles, warriors, heroes, legends, and customs that have created the rich, vibrant, and sometimes strange and wonderful history of the Celtic world. I have recently injured myself, and I was sitting around wondering how I would have been treated for my ailment if I had lived in the 18th century back in Scotland. You know, what if my ancestors had hurt themselves like I had? So I began my long and exhausting search into the subject and found out a lot about 18th century medicine, and I also found a cure for my insomnia. Now, 18th century, it was a time of great change in Scotland. Its major cities were full of learning and progress in areas such as architecture, philosophy, science, religion, and importantly, it marked the beginning of the change from medieval to modern medicine. Now, modern medicine is essentially just folk medicine that worked. A huge proportion of modern medicines are derived from plants that have been used for centuries. A well-known example is willow bark used to treat pain, and a derivative from this was eventually used in aspirin. Foxgloves were known to be poisonous, especially to children, and were used to treat heart disease and heart attacks. Chemicals from these flowers are used today for the very same thing. Now, one particularly unappealing cure was eating wood lice, or mixing them with wine to treat stomach aches, heartburn, and indigestion. But this gave way to making potions that are easily palatable. And considering the exoskeleton of the wood lice is almost all calcium carbonate, it may have actually worked. Now, however, for every potion, ointment, and salve or treatment that worked, many more had no power to heal or wound or the illness at all. It was a belief that if there was an illness, God would provide a cure. Unfortunately, unlike diseases like scurvy, which was cured by something as simple as vitamin C from kale or citrus fruits, a large number of diseases had many treatments but no cures. Smallpox remained the scourge of the 18th century, responsible for as much as 10% of all deaths worldwide. Unfortunately, because of the lack of scientific understanding behind how these treatments worked or why, attempts to cure these more serious diseases were, for the most part, unsuccessful. Any survival was almost entirely down to pure luck and the patient's overall health. The cure for rabies, which still remains incurable today without immediate retroviral drugs, when this was written down, was a prayer for the patient's soul and then a quick smothering so they wouldn't have to endure the pain. Wow. Now, Scotland's own bard, Robert Burns, is a testament to the fact that submerging yourself in the ice-cold waters of the Solway Firth would not cure heart problems. That was one of these stupid cures they had. Now, throughout the 18th century, people of rural Scotland were dependent on their home remedies for treatments of illness. Home remedies were often medieval in their origins, dating back to an age before there was even a country named Scotland. Now, the issue was that although the trained doctors did exist at this time, they were expensive to hire, rare, and travel was difficult from city to isolated village. And usually by the time the trained doctor was able to travel to the afflicted, the problem had either passed or the patient had passed on. So rural and isolated communities made do with the healers and remedies they had. Home remedies were often passed down from word to mouth, stories, songs, letters, and kitchen cookbooks, meaning they changed very little over the years, which differed from the way orthodox medicine worked, which underwent a huge shift in the 18th century and clawed its way away from the medieval treatments and methods. There were many books on home medicine, including Buchan's Guide to Domestic Medicine. However, a large proportion of the rural population could not afford books or simply could not read them. Many diagnoses and medicines were administered by the local healer, either a wise woman or a wise man, an apothecary, or just family members. Most housewives would have grown a garden for herbs or for medicinal use, as well as a garden for their food. The knowledge would have been passed on from her mother, her grandmother, to her mother, to her, and about how to harvest these herbs and how to make potions and ointments to be stored away for later use, of course. And then local healers would often be members of a family known for practicing medicine, or even a landowner who owned some of the do-it-yourself medicine books. Now, Burns, he famously wrote of Dr. Hornbook, a teacher who practiced as a healer, albeit not successfully, if the Grim Reaper was to be believed. A famous book of do-it-yourself medicine was William Buchan's succinctly titled Domestic Medicine, or the Treatise
on the prevention and cure of diseases by regimen and simple medicines. The list of local plants and herbs that could be used as treatments in his book was exhausting. It went on forever. Just a few are like wormwood was a cure for jaundice, peppermint was used to treat flatulence, common mugwort was thought to be a cure-all for everything from consumption to weariness. Juniper was a disinfectant, betony healed infectious wounds, poppies were sedatives, and Caroline thistle was an antibiotic. Now, it's kind of worth noting that Caroline is a Scots word for witch. Eventually, due to the increasing professionalism of medicine over the 18th century, the gap between local healers and trained professional doctors widened. The latter saw the former as superstitious and looked down upon traditional forms of medicine, and this led to many folk medicines being abandoned in favor for modern clinical and chemical cures. However, even today, they still sometimes use folk medicine in its original form. For example, the dock leaf, which grows around nettle patches, and they crush it up and use it to cure the sting of the nettle patch. This is an ancient cure that's been written down and passed down generation from generation for almost a millennium. So, I think it was kind of cool learning all this stuff, and I think it's given me a kind of a strange outlook on how I'm going to treat myself maybe next time something happens. Definitely going to go see my doctor, but I may wonder how the treatment he's given me came about. Y'all be safe out there. Stay healthy.
Gürtelig lamar hami smachrien sasik bram Vonen jak mi beyond the night yo Glauben an Nen loch ne mars nen strom Signale van natare gachlar vel min hor Vaki napitor sacheru mit yevi bahas Confere mesken loje vares buon gebracht Haniel shinjele gacher khosh mari han buon pas Svashia den nene blian shies snacht gegrien nacht Han halle verleer mijn hoort Jem na vi allen sus nen joh Ek ne shelse bolle Halir govam lekjo Kun gelaschen joh kek moch los En leef voor mij goede woord Shakroyara amos moachne niklo Elena on a lark and yield me pure. Es can fake me not just in Yachim Marachok. Bishines can I have Lavakines Bilen Bula Tashfok. Smayanten is be Panchig Lefan met Vjor. Eiche valat henerun nat lepi khuri vla. Kato sa hene khos dageske sunt osla. A mission show sta trai shi was nam khlosen for him vash. Fine house, le boy, I'm one hopon erina.
Everyday Celtic Ways brings you the mythology, traditions, and customs that have created a unique and personal culture that still affects those that are Celtic and those that just love the Celtic world.
We're going to talk about the fairy folk of the Cairn gorms. The Cairn gorms is a national park in northeast Scotland and covers the Cairngorms range of mountains and surrounding hills. It is an area of outstanding natural beauty with mountains, forest paths, rivers, lochs, and locations known for their abundance of wildlife. It is also, along with the rest of Scotland and indeed other parts of the Celtic world, rich in folklore. Celtic beliefs perceive the presence of the supernatural in every mountain, river, coastal feature, spring, loch, marsh, tree, and rock formation. Within this tradition, there is a strong link to animism, shape-shifting, and Celtic mythology. There are also many stories about the little people and fairies, a belief still widely held in some places, that humans and other creatures share the land with mystical non-human entities, rarely seen, but through custom, treated with caution and respect. Not least because the little people are always, or not always, viewed as benevolent and can be quite sinister and dangerous. An example of this kind of belief is a story of a Celtic scholar and folklorist, the Reverend Robert Kirk. Now, he lived some time ago. He was born in December of 1644 and he died in May of 1692. Now, his research involved investigating the strong belief held by the Gaidhlig peoples and the supernatural world of fairies and creatures of the other world. Now, he believed that the slave ma, or fairies, was a fact in nature that could be investigated as a matter of scientific inquiry. Now, his quest was to prove whether or not they existed using the scientific method. Now, he thought he might be scoffed at. However, a true scientific look might help dispel the myth for some people who hold tightly to their supernatural beliefs. He is quite well known in this regard, and he became known as the Fairy Minister. While he was investigating the presence of the little people at a place called Dún Seathan, or Dún Hill, which is close to the village of Aberfoyle in Scotland, one evening on the 14th of May, 1692. Reverend Kirk was upon the hill investigating. Villagers heard strange noises and lights coming from the hill, and after a while they went to investigate themselves. Tragically, his body was found lying dead upon the hill. But stories soon grew of him having fallen into an unconscious state, and that the fairies of Dún Hill had carried off his mortal soul. Local legend among the villagers told that the fairies were angry with him for his over-attentive interest in their activities and their secret domain. The hill remained a taboo place to go to for the past few centuries, only having revived the supernatural beliefs of the surrounding peoples. All right.
Come single bearer bow, unto me pay attention. Don't ever fall in love, 'tis the devil's own invention. For once I fell in love with a maiden so bewitching, Miss Henrietta Bell, out of Captain Kelly's kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie. At the age of 17, I was apprenticed to a grocer, not far from Stephen's Green, where Miss Henry used to go, sir. Her manners were sublime, she set me heart to twitching, and she invited me to a hoolie in the kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie. Next Sunday being the day we were to have the flare-up, I dressed myself quite gay, and I frizzed and oiled me hair up. The captain had no wife, faith he had gone a-fishing, and we kicked up high life down below stairs in the kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie. With me armour round her waist, she slyly hinted marriage, to the door in dreadful haste came Captain Kelly's carriage. Her eyes soon filled with hate, and poison she was spitting. Captain Kelly's at the gate, and he's heading for the kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie. She flew up off me knees, full 5 feet up or higher, and over head and heels sent me slap into the fire. Me new repealer's coat that I bought from Mr. Mitchell, when a 20-shilling note went to blazes in the kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie. When the captain came downstairs, though I saw my situation, in spite of all my prayers, I was marched off to the station. For me they'd take no bail, though to get up I was itching, and I had to tell the tale how I came into the kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie. I said she did invite me, she gave a flat denial, for assault she did indict me, and I was sent for trial. She said I'd robbed the house, in spite of all her screeching, and I got 6 months hard for me curtain in the kitchen. With me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, with me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie, me toodle-oodle-la, with me toodle-oodle-laddie.
Scottish Gaelic is native to the Gaels of Scotland. Scottish Gaelic developed out of the Old Irish, and learning this beautiful language can be a direct link to your Gaelic ancestors. Follow along in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaelic, and like I said, let's try a little Gaelic. Fauchagu, ye old Scots, Introduction to Scottish Gaelic. Kimra hula dunya, how is everyone? Alright, check it out. You already know how to say, welcome to and how is everyone? Now please remember that I am not an authority on the Gaelic language, I just love learning it, and want to pass it on to you. What I present comes from well-respected Gaelic teachers, so I hope you will find it interesting, informative, and fun. And as always, I display everything on the screen so you can follow along. Feuchamaich, alright then, get ready.
All right. We're in the 25-part Gaelic lesson. We're doing lesson 11, which is on colours. And as always, I'll display on the screen what I am discussing. The first part is some helpful vocabulary and some sentences that'll get you through. All right. Da is color. Je da aha what color is blank, whatever you want to put in there. Je da aha sho, what color is this? Je da aha shin, what color is that? Je da aha esulin, what color is her eyes? I guess that could be what color is its eyes. Say you were being attacked by a monster and you were just curious. All right. And unda, the same color, or the one color, literally. All right. Fout, which is hair. Sul, which is eye. Sulin, which is eyes. Kluisk, pillow. Ban, which is fair and pale. And dorka, which is dark. All right, we're going to move straight on into the colors. And what's funny is the first three in this list are not really colors. They're shades and tints. But most people think of black and white and gray as colors. So there you go. First one is black, which is dew. White, which is gale. Gray, which is glass. Sometimes that also refers to being green. You have red, which is Gaidhlig. Scarlet, which is scarletch. Crimson, which is Gaidhlig. Pink, which is pink. Yellow, which is booyah. Also can mean fair. Orange, which is orange. Dark blue, which is gordum. And it can also mean the green that's kind of like azure. Okay. You have light blue or gray, which is Leah. And that gets used for gray as well. Turquoise, which is gorm or Turchom. Navy blue is Duchom. Green is Uanya. Brown is Don. Reddish brown is Rua, which is also used for like reddish hair. Purple is Purpy. Indigo is Gorlamin. Mauve is Leah Furpy. And gold is Vuya, or just, sometimes it's just or. Alright, sometimes you'll see the same names for different colors in different areas. Don't get too concerned about this. It has to do with dialects and the context. Alright. So, that's it for colors. But we're going to give you like 6 sentences to translate. Get you using those words again. So, number 1, Je da aha a chlusik. 2, ha e chlusik Gaidhlig. 3, nakel an ku don. 4, chanil ha an ku du. 5, Je da aha e sulin. 6, Je da aha u halt.
Va mohena vas mohena or shana is a genie mare gala vi me gala khla it komme la min hare ra hing ha was sai shung halvai fatai nyala bin gado licking ha see you va horo bilim boha elim beroi koi elim boha see you va horo bilim boha na chier man je khome si ke fano khisa khore na tsakna ke tas kam bi hoshas e khwakh khayi on je fine as ni stiffing in my hini hani shinge ma si you de bahoro bilim boha elim beroi koi elim boha si you de bahoro bilim boha beyond the net for Johnny kachmara gesma nach linkshin ja den gaven gefer hoke sasi se viundra gene chaniga achkalach nach res het de lave gaan nu geen mi watje spul je hoshit hanje flestal in je masi hune bahoro limbo ha limbo noi goi limbo ha si hune bahoro limbo ha Minnische vertoor, zoals ze wapen nu de gunsch. Ik heb happen at a hole in a chunk like a math. The cosh of Beagan all and a goch and Nix a gorny. Coin at a hole and see you that I'm your classy. You that Vahoro, William Boha. William Peroi, go, William Boha. See you that Vahoro, William Boha. So they take a lot and get some magic in a haji na kajach. So bode va hit kitchen mission mara. This I'm gonna be varing it vaga with ya. See you the bahoro William Boha. William Peroi go William Boha. See you the bahoro William Boha. Wenn dort ist da was, ich rede in zu gebrache, genhoge ve volari nach Bart na spia. Artig in den Nahen, muss gut jo hegen have me. Wenn you hook a sassy whole heart, Jimmy, I'll see you the bahoro William Boha. William Peroi go William Boha. See you the bahoro William Boha. William Peroi go William Boha. See you the bahoro William Boha.
If you're already a subscriber to the Olde Scot YouTube channel and enjoy the variety of interesting videos and podcasts that we produce weekly, then you should join us on the Olde Scot Facebook group. Not only do you get all the great videos you already enjoy, but so much more. Come and connect with your Celtic community here on Olde Scot Facebook group.
Goodbye, Apple Baby. Masha Weave.
Goodbye, everybody. But I'm going to let you go with a song.
When I was a young man, I carried my pack, and I lived the free life of the rover. From the Murray's green basin to the dusty outback, and I waltzed my Matilda all over. Then in 1915, the country said, son, it's time to stop rambling, there's work to be done. So they gave me a tin hat, they gave me a gun, and they sent me away to the war. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as our ship pulled away from the quay. And amidst all the cheers, flag waving and tears, we sailed off to Gallipoli. How well I remember that terrible day, when the blood stained the sand and seawater, and how in that hell they call Suvla Bay we were butchered like lambs at the slaughter. Johnny Turk, he was ready, he primed himself well, he rained us with bullets, then he chased us with shell, and in 12 minutes flat we were all blown to hell. He nearly blew us straight back to Australia, and the band played Waltzing Matilda as we stopped to bury our slain. We buried ours and the Turks buried theirs, then we started all over again. Now those that were left, we just tried to survive in a mad world of blood, death and fire. And for 10 weary weeks I kept myself alive, while around me the corpses piled higher. Then a big Turkish shell knocked me arse overhead, and when I awoke in my hospital bed, when I saw what it had done, how I wished I was dead. I never knew there were worse things than dying, for no more I'll go waltzing Matilda all around the green bush, far and near. For to hump tent and pegs, sure a man needs both legs. No more waltzing Matilda for me. They collected the wounded, the crippled and the maimed, and they shipped us back home to Australia. The legless, the armless, the blind, the insane, those poor wounded heroes from Suvla. And as our ship pulled into Circular Quay, I looked at the place where my legs used to be, and thanked Christ there was no one there waiting for me to grieve or to mourn or to pity. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as they carried us down the gangway. Nobody cheered, they just stood there and stared. Then they turned all their faces away. So now, every April, I sit on my porch and I watch the parade pass before me, and I see my old comrades, how proudly they march, renewing those dreams of past glory. And I see the old men, all bent stiff and sore, the tired old heroes from a forgotten war. And the young people ask, what are they marching for? And I ask myself the same question. And the band plays Waltzing Matilda, and the old men still answer the call. But year after year, their numbers get fewer. Someday no one will march there at all. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, who'll come a waltzing Matilda with me? And their ghosts may be heard as they pass by the billabong. Who'll come a waltzing Matilda with me?